Welcome everyone! In this game we'll see the always creative Daniil Dubov play an awesome attack on the white side of the Queen's Gambit. His opponent is Danish grandmaster Rasmus Svane, and they played in Batumi in 2019. Now Dubov opened with c4, e6, knight c3, d5, d4, Queen's Gambit declined, knight to f6, knight to f3, bishop to e7, and Dubov chose the bishop f4 variation. Now the advantage of this move compared to bishop g5 is that it's hard for black to free his position because, as you can see, after bishop g5, black can often play knight to e4 and trade the dark square bishops, and that way, well, in a way, free up his cramped position. This isn't possible after bishop f4, and also in this case, black's queen cannot use the natural c7 square. Anyway, it continued with castles, e3, b6. This is one of the solid options for black, but as you will see, Dubov will also spice up this system. Queen to c2, bishop to a6, and here Dubov castled, allowing black to win the c-pawn, but in turn white gets rapid development. Well, black did take the pawn, and now knight to g5, already eyeing h7 along with the queen. Now black cannot kick the knight with h6 because white just goes h4, and if black takes the knight, that is a big blunder because after pawn takes, black's knight cannot move because of queen h7 checkmate. Therefore black goes g6, but after pawn takes knight, bishop takes, white can play moves like f3 and g4, then bring the queen to h2 and just attack on the h-file. Black is already losing at this point. So black didn't go for this. He went after knight to g5, knight to c6, a3, not allowing knight to b4. Black played g6, blunting the effect of white's queen, just in case. If black tries to get active, instead of g6 with, let's say, knight to a5, hoping to stick the knight on b3, then white can go bishop to e5, planning bishop takes knight and mate on h7, therefore g6, but after h4, white has some easy attacking moves like h5 and sometimes even knight takes h7, and black is already probably losing at this point. So the more careful g6 was actually a lot better than this. So g6, Dubov played h4 anyway, but now black went bishop to d6, apparently intent on trading the bishops, but that bishop is actually an important defender for black. Instead of that, knight to d5 was surely better, and after, for example, knight takes, pawn takes knight, black will bring the bishop to f5 and maybe even counterattack with b5 and b4 later on. But he didn't play that. He played bishop to d6, g3, supporting the bishop some more and maybe fianchettoing the other bishop later. Now queen to e7, h5, white just continues a straightforward attack, and here black tried to counter with e5, but this didn't slow Dubov down at all. Pawn takes g6, because taking the bishop won't help black anyway. If black takes that bishop, then one way to win is pawn takes f7 check, and after rook takes, bishop to g2, attacking the loose knight, and if black tries to defend the knight with bishop to b7, then the attack just rages on with knight to d5, and after knight takes knight and bishop takes knight, white is pinning and winning the rook and black is completely lost. That's why black didn't take the bishop, he went pawn takes g6, and it's actually the opening of the h-file that eventually gives white a big attack, as we will see. Now, bishop to g2, attacking the loose knight. Black did take the bishop in this case. Pawn takes f4. Bishop takes c6, white took the knight. Pawn takes g3. And now king to b1, Classy move, just making sure the king will never be checked on the dark squares. Rook from a to d8, but now Dubov went f4. Which does have a downside because black's g-pawn still takes away h2 from white's pieces. A better move was actually the simple pawn takes pawn, and after king to g7, planning rook to h8, just go rook from d to e1, and then after trading rooks after rook to h8, white can just go for e3, e4, and here black still suffers because his pieces don't really coordinate. Anyway, after rook from a to d8, Dubov played f4, bishop to c8, queen takes e3 is way too dangerous, it's better to try and bring the bishop to f5, rook from d to e1, king to g7, not bishop f5 here already because white just goes e4, knight to d5, knight takes, and here white played a nice in-between move, rook h7 check. And after king to g8, Dubov played rook takes f7, which makes g6 a critical weakness. White shouldn't have taken the knight at this point, because if he did, bishop takes d5, now black can go bishop to f5, and after e4, now black just has bishop takes f4, because the e-pawn is pinned anyway, and now black wants to follow up with rook takes d5, and white's attack is long gone. In fact, white is just clearly worse here. Now, going back, Dubov played rook takes f7, rook takes, queen g6 check as planned, and now king to f8. Now black cannot block with the rook, since black loses immediately after bishop takes knight check, and after king to f8, it's even checkmate after knight h7 check, rook takes, and queen g8 mate. That's why after queen g6 check, king to f8, queen h6 check, rook g7, now bishop takes knight, threatening with queen h8 check and mate on g8, therefore king to e8, queen h5 check, king d7, queen h3 check, king e8, queen h5 check, king d7, but of course Dubov doesn't repeat again, he went bishop e6 check, king to c6, queen f3 check, king to b5, and now another blow, bishop takes c4 check. Black cannot even take the bishop. If he takes, then checkmate is unavoidable. White would go queen to c6 check, bishop to c5, not king to b3 or king to d3, because queen c2 would be checkmate. Rook c1 check, king to d3, rook c3 check, king to d2, and after queen g2 check, king to d1, rook c1 is checkmate. Therefore, after bishop takes c4, king to a5, queen d5 check. Now blocking with c5 doesn't help. White would go b4 check, king a4, bishop b3 check, king takes pawn, and after bishop to c2, queen b3 checkmate is coming. So instead, after queen d5 check, bishop to c5, b4 check anyway, king to a4, and now queen to g2. Great move. White now wants to play queen c2 check and then mate on b3. Bishop takes b4. That's meant to give the a5 square to the king, but white also has queen c6 check. Now king takes pawn was played. Bishop to b3, another great move. The king cannot take because it's mate in 2. If king takes, then queen c2 check and checkmate. Therefore, after bishop b3, bishop to d7 was tried, but it ended right here after queen c1 check, king takes b3 is forced now, and now queen c2 check, king a3, and queen a2 checkmate. Now just an awesome game and king hunt by Daniil Dubov. It all started with the opening of the h-file, and afterwards he just got a natural but also very impressive attack. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this game as well. If you did, please subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching Chess Student, and take care.